Now I'm going to start this video off with a really safe, cold take, and then I'm rather happy with my purchase of the Switch 2 in Mario Kart World. You know, for a minute there it almost felt like people didn't like this game, which would be wild because just imagine the monumental task of following up Mario Kart 8 Frickin' Deluxe, which after some much needed additions to base Mario Kart 8 became God's untouchable gift to the racing genre. That game is inarguably the best racing game in existence and arguably gaming perfection, okay? That core racing formula is so polished and refined, so elegantly smooth and fun that you start to forget other games even exist when you're playing it. So what do you do if you're Nintendo, who are probably just as bored as we are from having made the same game for 20 plus years just better each and every time? You make that shit weird. You open it up, introduce a bunch of fresh new elements to challenge what a Mario Kart game is, and generally just get your ultra hand all up in that stinker and just... yeah, that. You'll also need to develop a taste for freeform jazz. If I were to assign this game a design ethos or thesis, it'd be the most dynamic Mario Kart yet, right? And that's even ignoring the open world entirely, because everything from the countless intermission tracks, to the weather effects, to the boundless OST, to the Lil Dumpy, to the Tony Hawk reminiscent playground-esque design strikes me as wanting to create a Mario Kart experience that feels different from the first time you play it to the 1000th, and they succeeded. Since everyone knows the tracks are the main events to these games, let me start by rapid firing these mutters off. In order of Grand Prix appearance, we have Mario Bros. Circuit. Fine. Track design makes for a good introduction, but too bland to be excited on repeat playthroughs. The Americana flavoring is a nice and fitting shake-up for the first track in the game though. Crown City. Good. The best part about this one is the theming, as even though we've gotten a slew of city tracks before, this is the most they've ever committed to the city theme and you can feel it. The alleyways, the skyscrapers, the pier, the anti-homeless bench, you really feel like you're the big man on Mulberry Street. Yeah, there's a reference. Shooting up and down and all around discount New Dunk City, even if some of the actual racing feel falters a bit here and there, especially towards the end. Whistle Stop Summit. Yeah, I'm a normie, I love this one. The best Mario Kart tracks blend an engaging theme and track design into a 2.5 minute adventure that you want to jump right back into once you've crossed the finish line, and this one fits the bullet bill. Made even better by the intended and unintended crazy shit you can do on this one. All-timer. DK Spaceport, my favorite in the game. They took the nostalgic pandering premise of a track themed around arcade DK and flipped it on its head by taking the rising nature of the original arcade game and not just making the course around that, but also taking the level theme up to tier 15 by contextualizing it by being a spaceport, which is all about infinitely ascending. I mean, come on dude, how can you not? It's like an 80s kid daydream in class turned into a Mario Kart track. It's super exciting and acrobatic, and as Robocong chucking barrels at you just like in the original, it's perfect. Desert Hills. Meh. Too short and simple, and given the fact that we've seen at least one pretty cool desert track in Mario Kart before makes this a pretty big missed opportunity. The elements surrounding it in the open world are cooler, and this honestly could have been great if they just made this like a desert level greatest hits collection. Shy Guy Bazaar. Pretty good. I'm higher on this track now than I was at launch because I've had more time with the rail grinding stuff on top of most of the track that makes you feel like Aladdin. But I miss the more Arabian Nights feel of the 3DS one, plus there are a couple intermissions that literally have you go inside the palace, which is dope. It should have been in the standard track. Also, the original's glider section just felt cooler. This one feels pretty wet noodle by comparison, but overall a very solid 3 laps. Wario Stadium, the N64 track we thought might never return. Pretty good. They did a great job minimizing the more cheesy and tedious elements while expanding on the rowdy motor racing feel by incorporating the high-flying new mechanics, mainly wall riding. Feels great to play, and I can't imagine this being brought back for any prior Mario Kart before this one. Airship Fortress. Great. Besides modernizing it with some more sloped surfaces and rails, they thankfully didn't mess with this DS classic. Still a banger. DK Pass. Pretty good. Again, another track faithful to Mario Kart DS, which is mostly for the best. They even incorporate a little DK Summit, which is cool, but it does highlight how much safer this track is compared to that one and others, but still a good solid time that's always fun to race on. Starview Peak. Good. This is clearly meant to be Rosalina's Ice World, even the game's data files reveal as much. And though I do like this track, if they weren't going to utilize its unique aspects like its mountainous terrain and observatory style library more, I would have preferred that this were just Rosalina's Ice World, as that track is more engaging in the race while still keeping the same theme. But still fun, and I like the feel of the water section. That's something. Sky High Sunday. Pretty good. Was so glad to see this here in a finished state after the booster course pass, because turns out when a track is in a game it was actually designed for, it's a pretty great time. Wario Shipyard. Great. I feel like I'm in the minority on this one, but I really like this one in World. I'm a pretty big fan of the overhauled water mechanics, so converting a track where the original water mechanics fell a bit flat into this dynamic, swashbuckling thrill ride is just the perfect fit. Don't get me wrong, the original was great too, but instead of sinking like a rock in and out of the water at arbitrary points, you're now up close and personal, racing around and through the shipwreck while navigating the treacherous shifting tides, which even change depending on the items used. You can even do this 1/6 shortcut near the end if you can line up when you trick on incoming waves, which I always get and never miss. In my opinion, the 3DS just couldn't do the track theme justice. I think this version is badass. Koopa Troopa Beach. Yeah, this one blows. Despite my best efforts, I can't gaslight myself into liking this, especially when you're racing inside of and under much cooler terrain. I don't know if this was a last minute addition or what, but we didn't need circumcised baby park in this game. Faraway Oasis. It's good, but for one of my favorite level themes in the game, I would have liked a lot more. This is supposed to be DK Jungle Parkway according to the files, which might explain why this feels as simple as a track from Mario Kart 64, but even if that's the case, I don't see why they had to stick to the original design and scope so religiously. I feel like the Savannah Safari theme was dying to be explored, with some of the intermissions even having you race alongside a herd of animals before going into the track proper. It could have been a lot cooler, but it's just some turns and jumps with animals placed around in the final game. Still fun though, and I appreciate it not just being a one-to-one adaptation of the Parkway, which we've seen before. Peach Stadium. Good. Feels a lot like Mario Kart Stadium from 8, which is good, especially since its position is like the world's central track for racing activities. It's not too ambitious, but it is acrobatic and fun, and the music really pushes you forward in a uniquely Mario Kart kind of way. Peach Beach. Love this one. I'm still stunned that they took goofy-ass Peach Beach from Double Dash and made it into this gorgeous beachside resort sandals vacation package type banger. I don't even understand why Koopa Troopa Beach is here when just the beach part alone does more in one lap than that one does in 5. And this is before even mentioning the crazy wall riding shit and wave race fun towards the end. This track also takes a feature from Tour in the booster course pass that I wasn't super into, being the shifting pass between each lap, and implements them seamlessly from one engaging track section to the next. Beautiful track and beyond impressive. Salty Salty Speedway. Holy shit, 2 cakes, I love this one too. It's a Venice type level that either has you on the water or on land if you want to try to do some cool cuts, and going between the two is seamless, so how you play is up to you and decide it all on the fly. The wall riding sections are tailor-made for you to do badass cuts that make other players look at you and go like, well, how the hell did you do that? And there are boxed off cuts which you can mushroom through unless someone else did that on a prior lap, and then you can do it for free. And there are Yoshi gondolas, based, no further questions, Your Honor. Dino Dino Jungle, a Double Dash classic Jurassic Parkified where it's set in the lab and there's a dino outbreak and Sam Jackson shows up. Easy money. I love when they put a new spin on old classics like this, and that's not just thematically, as they lay all of the added system mechanics on top of this map that already played like a dream, with being able to ride on top of the dinos and fly through the once hazardous geysers, making it feel as exciting as you remember. It's already fantastic, but there is still a missed opportunity as there's tons of other cool shit in the lab area that they just fenced off from the standard track and intermissions. Also, there's this cool jump that leads into this neat side area that I can never do, so they should just remove that. Great. Block of Ruins. Great. Pretty reminiscent of renowned Mario Kart 8 banger Cloud Top Cruise, but where that level's bouncy sky-high feel was hard baked into the track, this one leaves the track design more open to leave the Tigger shenanigans up to the player to perform as they desire. The level theme is also just a great time, like if Indiana Jones wound up in a Ghibli movie. It's tight. Cheap Cheap Falls. Love it. Ancient Japanese autumn jam set in a river rapid is thematically deserving in my alliterative description. It makes you feel like a flying Cheep Cheep with these jumps. It's exhilarating and 2 races never feel the same on this one. Dandelion Depths. Pretty good. A fun track design with some real verticality to be gained if you're like that, and I love the adventurous spelunking feel going in and out of the cave that's flooded with water and light from the realm above, and takes on an entirely different vibe at night where the underground is illuminated by plant life, it seems like. This furthers my working theory that Nintendo are actually just a team of artists forced to make video games. The track is good fun, but played a bit too safe to achieve greatness in my eyes. Boo Cinema. Good. Like a top 3 track theme, but the race itself is like 4 turns. Probably would have benefited from including the pier and rooftop sections from the open world and expanding the meat of the track to feature more impactful wall riding and these spooky ass background castles and shit. Like, take me there, dude. Also, it's way too easy to fly out of bounds on this one gliding part towards the end, and that doesn't feel good at all when it happens. Drybones Burnout. Pretty good. Another top 3 track themes, but executed much better, blending multiple elevations and paths to create an exhilarating race that has you flying from wall to wall to rail to wall to whale. I don't feel like it's quite great, but that might just be because other tracks blend the track feel with their theme better. Like, this off-the-wall gameplay doesn't spring to mind when you think Dia de los Bones, at least to me. But who knows, I haven't watched Coco in a bit. If I were to gain more appreciation for any one track over time, it'll be this one. Moo Moo Meadows. Good. Still a classic, still fun, although if you're like me, you're probably more than a bit tired of it by now. Also, if my ears don't deceive me, this is the only returning track to not get a brand new remix. This sounds identical to the version in 8 Deluxe. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess, but I guess that also applies to the track, as they could have done way more with this. Again, seen in the open world where you can go in and on top of the barns and stuff like that. It almost feels like this is included for the open world, as having a green pasture area in the heartland of Mario Country just makes sense, and everyone, including the developers, clearly love the cow. But I can't really complain, as that's all fun, and so is the track still. Chocobo Mountain, good. Feels pretty different from the one we've seen 11 times already, which is nice, and actually incorporates the chocolate into acting like mud, which is a nice evolution from the chocolate part obviously just being in name, as the original 64 track with just winding brown roads like when I eat Taco Bell. The theming was honestly a bit better in the original though, as it felt like a treacherous mountain trek, whereas this one feels anywhere between a factory and a football stadium that's set on a mountain, blending into a thematic chocolate mess. Fun layout, even if getting hit into the mud then drowning in the mud feels like being castrated. Toad's Factory, great. Pretty much like with Airship Fortress, it's the OG but modernized with world's mechanics that elevate it to new heights. I always associated Toad's Factory with the wild high-flying acrobatics found in Wii, so having that come back in a more polished and intentionally nuanced way in World feels cathartic and is a lot of fun. Bowser's Castle, great. A far cry from standard castle fare, this one takes on more of an industrial vibe, feeling much more like a fortress indifferent to your presence than a masterwork crafted in Bowser's glorious image. And having been to Super Nintendo World makes this feel like the first Mario Kart track based on real life. It's fast-paced, boasting some tight rail paths and skips, and even this automatic Mach speed section in the clouds designed to kill you. It's a good time. Acorn Heights, great. Though I'm more of a wild woods guy, you can't deny the appeal of this mystical forest where everything's huge and you're riding on vines and leaves and dodging acorns and shit. This one sells height and scale like none other in the game and is great for training rail grinds. Super fun. Mario Circuit, good. I really like the fact that they combine multiple SNES tracks in the one super one, but I think it is kind of telling that the Super Mario Kart track designs are so relatively uninteresting that they felt the need to combine multiple of them into one track to make it feel substantial. I probably would have liked to see it incorporate a bit more ramps and hazards, but it is nice having a nice grounded Mario Kart TM track in the lineup both in gameplay and aesthetic. I don't know why SNES Mario Circuit 4 is missing though, definitely should have been there. And finally, Rainbow Road, great. Rainbow Road is probably Mario Kart's most iconic track, with it even showing up in the damn movie. With there being one for every mainline game, it felt fitting having this big ass greatest hits version of the track that's treated like this mystical, magical event to grace your new shiny license to your console, and has a runtime as long as Titanic. I especially like the lead up from Peach Stadium to the track, seen in its singular intermission appearance. Feels very grand, which is bookended by a similar swell on the final lap. It marries visual design elements from all over the series, but takes the most inspiration from N64 Rainbow Road from 8, which had the glittery stardusty metallic gates, golden fences, and the rainbow tiled bridge atop the illuminated cityscape, although Double Dash technically did that part first. It has sections tying into the rest of the game, such as the icy water section reminiscent of Starview Peak, and a space station rocket section that seems to be the direct result of DK Spaceport. And of course all culminating in a 3D Mario-ass train ride full of elements from the other tracks at the very end. Very nice, and it's an incredible accomplishment that they've crafted a track that manages to simultaneously feel like Christmas, New Year's, and your birthday. The track gameplay-wise feels a lot like 8's with the split paths, gliders, boost pads, the works, but has some cool twists like the aforementioned water section and the anti-grav thwomp part straight out of Mario Galaxy that keeps things varied and exciting throughout the 6.5 minute runtime. Not my favorite Rainbow Road, but very elegant, content-rich and fun, cementing it as an instant classic. Now how do we feel about this track list overall, and how do their designs complement the design goals of this game? I mean, there is an extremely high pedigree for the Mario Kart tracks given its 30-year-long history. Overall, very fun. I think the tracks are great, and while they can be a bit open, it's made up for by how much you can do with these new systems and how intentionally they were designed for you to interact with them. Speaking of these new systems, Tony Hawk rail grinding, charge hopping, bouncing, wall riding, and a wave race style revamp to the water racing all turn the terrain into your own personal playground, or, better yet, like a Mario level, wow. These changes fly directly in the face of how a race is conventionally driven by urging you to parkour and experiment your way to a faster lap. There are all types of skips you can do utilizing the wall, the side of the course, or even just random shit on the side of the road, and it really encourages you to play around with what you can and can't do with it. It's a lot of fun. My favorite bits are where they either put coin trails or little warning cones in front of shortcuts, basically baiting your subconscious into trying some off-the-wall shit by either giving you direct incentive with the coins, or with the cones, an in-universe, nah, don't do this, but like of course I'm gonna do this because you told me not to. The sweeping system changes are super fresh and fun and again dynamic, and sometimes in ways you wouldn't even expect or consider, like the shock item bringing rain after being used or explosions causing ripple effects in the water that change the timing of your tricks and hops. This must have sucked to program. Coins fly everywhere with certain items, and there are coin blocks that can only be obtained by smart item users' skillful use of the mechanics, which makes coin collection feel more strategic and meaningful instead of the more inevitable flow the mechanic took in previous games. Now granted, you are going to be collecting a lot more of them because they raised the coin cap and a lot of the intermissions are currently straight lines, so there's not much else to do, but I'm getting to the intermissions, okay? Hold your horse, girls. Dash food not only adds a fun bonus visual element to the world, but acts as a more predictable, less potent mushroom, which can add to the strategy of races and help break up the inevitable pain of being fucked in the ass when in first. Mario's first demoted item, Kamek, just exists to fuck shit up, and the feather was actually my #1 most wanted item to be added to the races for the next Mario Kart because I was so curious how its inclusion would shake up the gameplay and what it allowed you to do, and it's pretty sick. Just having a big skip button you can pull from the item box, but just don't use it at the wrong time or you're losing a bunch of speed with a big ass jump. I think it's pretty cool. And now after all that, I think it's time for an intermission. Hey, what can I say? I'm easily inspired. Let's talk about the roster. Just about all of the classic characters you're used to seeing are back, but now move in much more vibrant and expressive ways, which is usually the exact opposite of what happens in your 40s, so it's really nice to see. There's just an extra bounce and squash and stretch to these guys this time, which I really appreciate and prefer to the stiff and hardly dynamic boys of yesteryear. You can even move around in your cart and do a little dance, have a little fun, get down tonight. I usually gravitate to the cutest, silliest, gremlinest character in the roster and stick to those for my entire life, and that's not exactly at all different here, but I still found myself gravitating to characters I never really did before in Mario Kart, which I consider a massive accomplishment characterization-wise. Mario flies up and around and out of his cart and is just a hip-hoppity little guy, you know, like in Mario if you're familiar? I personally like the new expressive cartoony-ass Donkey Kong, and I can't wait to see what they did with Diddy Kong once I figure out how to unlock him. Rosalina keeps giving me fuck me eyes, and I don't know who animated her this time, but this definitely could have been avoided. But hey, all around great roster with most of your favorites looking better than ever, and that's not even mentioning the costumes. All of the characters that the US government considers to be essential workers get at least one alternate costume, with a handful of them being recycled from Mario Kart Tour, but all of them looking super cool. I mean, some faves are up on the screen now, but there are too many to list. Some characters definitely need more, and selecting them on the character select screen sucks major buns, but come on, you know they popped off when both Wario and Toad look good enough to eat in entirely different fashions. This is on my wish list for the next Mario Kart before this is revealed, so I'm glad dreams, on occasion, do come true. But what was on just about no one's wish list were these fuckers? All of the NPCs they added to the game. What? Tell me that's not super fun. I love spending 9 years resetting to get Fishbone just so they could rework how to get him a month later, but overall everyone has their favorite weirdie match in the game and that's just great. Please make dating apps work that way. They didn't miss the mark with any of these guys, with all of them boasting endearing context-sensitive animations, honk sounds, and special cutscenes for how well you placed in the race. Look at how he chugs this shit, he just goes FOOM! The vehicles are also pretty neat all things considered. They banished vehicle customization, so we're back to just standard weirdy carts, which to be honest might have been for the best as I tend to favor the cart designs in the games without customization, so maybe that's why those games had blander based vehicles, or not, who knows. My go-to is Penguin Carpet Flyer because obviously. The Golden Dash Bridge. Mama told me I'd never make it here. Now where are those towers? Oh, that's free fish for a week! This shit is magnificent, and it even has balanced overall stats, so I'm told. But yeah, I mean Real Racer, Locomoto, Stellar Sled, Rob Hog, Dolphin Dasher, Bill Dozer, Lil, Freakin', Dumpy, that's what they called me in prison, all classics. Though I do miss when the vehicles really felt different. Another point up on the board for the Mario Kart Wii dick riding community. When talking the 8 to World pipeline, the Piranha Plant pipeline, shut the fuck up. It's similar from the difference between New Super U and Mario Wonder, except if New Super U wasn't effectively a Wii game with a higher polygon count and resolution. A lot of care was put into the lighting and effects to help bring the world to life, giving us a game that differentiates itself more so in motion than when still, though certain polygon counts are raised across the board. And as always, Mario shines not in performance but in expressiveness and creativity, what with your in-universe branding, timeless visual design, and NPCs twice your size. I also love that Americana road trip style enveloping the presentation. From the stickers to the loading screens to the credits, feel like they were ripped straight from the world you're roaming in and taped into a scrapbook of your journey as you go along. However, props must be given for this game being the first Nintendo game to feature individual blades of grass and a frame rate of over 15. Yeah, I mean, fuck you, just look it up, you've heard it. Alright. Yeah, I got shit to say about these. I got shit to say. Is this mic on? You can't silence me. I will speak the truth. I think That these are clearly an effort to make Mario Kart gameplay more varied and can feature a lot of cool and unique elements, but most routes effectively end up being Moonview Highway. But it is cool being able to connect where you are on the map and be like, whoa, that's near that and there's that landmark. There's also variation within routes, such as certain cars and enemies dropping certain items. A lot more could have been done to make routes more exciting, like utilizing certain landmarks from the open world, but there are some instances where that's exactly what they do, but for the destination track portion, like with Shy Guy Bazaar bringing you inside the palace for certain intermissions, which they probably should have just done for the main track. All that being said, I never got the impression that intermissions were meant to be on par with the main tracks or replace them, but to act as a grab bag of spicy routes that crescendo into the race proper and act as connective tissue for the whole world aspect they're going for. They're meant to be weird and different to break up the monotony of the standard 3-lap structure you're so used to playing, featuring lots of variable enemies, environmental mechanics, and probably, yes, straight lines, for the mechanics and items to create variation within themselves. And then when you've driven most of the route and slugged it out with these motherfuckers always in your fucking lane, you see the final destination on the horizon and you're like, it's go time. Now granted, straight lines can definitely feel monotonous. Some routes circumvent this much better than others, an example being Dandelion Depths to Acorn Heights, switching things up with a river route that, while straight, is more engaging and feels different enough because the water mechanics are enough of a switch up, where you'll feel the difference to your trick timing for being on the water, unless I imagine that. And there's decision making over whether or not you'll go over these rocks or not, and of course aesthetically it's awesome going from dam to river to forest sanctuary. There's a lot of fun decision making to be had on a lot of the intermissions, like are you going to play it safe and roll for items, or are you going to try this sick cut off of this pole that you're not even sure will work? There are different enemies depending on the route that may drop a whole host of items, cards that drive more calmly and drop helpful items, and ones that are chaotic and drop hazardous ones. Small spoiler warning for some cool stuff, pause and skip to this timestamp, but some routes have environmental events like tornadoes or whales or crazy vehicles exclusively for the 1%, while others just tell a story on their own, like a downhill skiing trip or the aforementioned river rapid into the forest. On screen now is a handful of the intermission routes I believe to be on par with your average 3-lap track in the game, at least when comparing how well they accomplish their respective design goals. These tracks aren't the high-intensity, second-to-second twists and turns of the standard tracks, and it truly sucks that my online warriors don't have better options to play what they want, but above all else, these tracks are unique, which after 30 years of 3-lap races has its merit, and, if anything, it gave us. Look, this is it fellas, the crown jewel of Mario Kart World. This is the most fun I've had playing Mario Kart in a long time, and shakes the core formula up in a very fresh way by interweaving the main and intermission tracks into a battle royale type checkpoint style mode that heightens both styles of track into the same ruthless intensity. You race intermission to main track with 6 checkpoints in between, and if you're not in the required place by the time you reach the checkpoint, you're off the island. The road to main track structure works so well, giving it a downtime to uptime sort of game flow that I simply can't see working with it comprised of just one track type. It really feels like a cross-country death race like that one Tom and Jerry movie, and it's as characteristically inventive as it is uncharacteristically unforgiving for a Nintendo game. And they need to allow for custom KO tours so we can make the perfect flow of intermissions, or I will do my own KO tour to deliver an item box of unspecified contents to their headquarters. Fuck this, man. Come on, dude. We were so back and now we're so not. Please fix this. Sonic Racing Crossword plays like an open zone platformer, which is super fitting given its Sonic the Hedgehog roots. You got your question block panels with 5 being in each course area for you to find, and you got your Peach medallions which are all over the damn place and often require some tricky maneuvering to reach, and you got your P-switches which activate challenges for you to complete. These challenges are effectively Mario Kart DS mission mode, but utilize the expansive open world and your expanded vertical abilities to expand your patience as you suffer to find them all and complete some of these shit stains, ranging from cute nothings to this one. Yeah, you know exactly the one I'm talking about, this fucking one, oh my god. But it's very Bowser's Fury, just being able to fuck around and do missions at your own pace and see how you can work your skills to conquer the environment. They even put in this rewind time function for when you fuck up trying to get the... when you're trying to get the Peach medallion, you just can't get the angle right because you suck. For when you can't even, just trying to fucking, there. For when you do that. And when you're bored, you can just go to Epstein's Island and say hi to longtime Mario enemy and lifelong friend of Bill Cosby, Spike. Right next to Shoefuck. Each region of the map should feel familiar to longtime Marty players, hosting all of the race courses, with no exceptions within, and having its own flavor of costumes, landmarks, Yoshi's Dash food, and color of Yoshi. What the fuck? Is this like racial commentary? There's cool shit all over, and it's just nice driving around, spotting a landmark in the distance and seeing what you can find, and observing how thoughtfully it's all pieced together. And I thought between the panels, to the coins, to the P blocks, to the fun neat shit like the anti-homeless benches, I thought they filled the world with enough to make it worth it. I mean, I still haven't done it all. Albeit stickers as the only reward, especially when you can only put a single one on your car, was a little short-sighted, but it is just a fun side mode at the end of the day, especially since the main thing we're here for are the races. I mean, just as a fun little thought experiment, let's pretend this game costs something nobody would ever pay for. Something outrageous, like I don't know, $80, right? Now I wouldn't necessarily defend this price, but wouldn't you, from Nintendo's perspective, look at how much extra shit is in this game and at least be like, yeah, I could see where they're coming from on this? Yeah, I see you nodding your head there, yeah. There's a lot more I'd like to see them do with the open world, considering how much potential it has and the fact that it's kind of the main selling point, you know, being on the box. But if it stays as just as a fun sometimes thing to do, I'm not gonna die. When I was a kid playing Double Dash, I would stop racing with my dad and brother just to beat up on the Luigi Circuit Chain Chomp and dream about what all the cool background elements were. And now 20 years later, you get an entire bonus mode to do just that. And ignoring actual modern Nintendo fan demographics, kids these days get that shit like this will be approximately 6 children's first video game. Think about that. Moral of the story, fuck them kids, bruh. Stop having them. The flow of time is always cruel. Now this mode I'm sure would be great with friends, but none of my friends have this game or the Switch 2, citing economic difficulties. And I'm gonna be honest guys, I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. Now my handler Chauncey was just doing his daily Sprouts and Whole Foods run for my groceries, and he did say a lot of the prices were going up, but again, not on my radar as all account statements and commodity evaluations just go straight to my team of accountants. Hey, thanks so much for watching the video and I hope you enjoyed it. And hey, all it took was about 3 weeks, a broken motherboard, and a corrupted USB drive to bring it to you. But sincerely, thanks so much for watching. Sorry if the video and audio quality is weird. This video is a big learning experience for me with a lot of different methods and settings and all that to reach the video you just watched, which should be ironed out moving forward. About half of all the footage in this video had to be recaptured due to file corruptions, and if any of the borrowed footage looks subpar, that's because I had to do some last minute recapturing of that, so apologies there. Also, I mentioned in the prologue video I uploaded alongside this one. Please watch that to learn about what this series will be. But if you like this video and want to see more of them faster, please consider pledging to my Patreon, as having to work elsewhere to pay the bills takes valuable time away from making these videos, and this one took a lot of time. The next video will be shorter to keep my momentum going, but there are a minimum of 98 more of these after that one, so if you feel like you really want to, and if you're in the position to do so with how things are right now, then please consider pledging. Link in the description. Thanks so much, and see you in the next one.